It seems that summer has finally arrived here in the UK, so what better excuse to remind myself of how good one of BMW's most forgotten about models is. This is the BMW Z4. Before we go and take this thing for a drive and really enjoy the day, let's just remind ourselves of what makes up the Z4. It is almost a traditional roadster. We've got the long sweeping bonnet up front with obviously some BMW design cues that you'd recognise. So we've got the kidney grills on the front, which are honeycomb on this particular car. This different design to the lights is, I think, fabulous. It gives the front of the car real purpose and a real presence to it. I love the sort of clamshell bonnet with all the power lines running through it. Along the side, you've got this big opening down here, which looks fantastic, slightly more aggressive on the slightly updated Z4, which happened sort of middle of last year. We've got these new alloy wheel designs as well with blue calipers on there. The Portimao blue on this particular car looks, I think, fantastic in the sunlight. You've got a folding fabric top which raises and lowers and can be done at speed as well, and it's super quick. I love you've got little design elements here. You've got Z4 on the rear roll hoops, and it's just a really simple, elegant design. I think you've got the sways line which runs the whole way along the car to the rear lights. Round the rear you've got the wraparound LED lights round the rear, which gives it a real presence. You've got twin exhaust pipes. This particular car is the 20i, so this is the base model of the Z4. This is an M Sport as well, as you can see, with all the slightly more aggressive design cues, the M badging all over the place. There's then a sort of spoiler which is built into the rear boot as well, which is fantastic. You've got around 280 litres of boot space in there as well, which is plenty to go away with. I mean, just look at it on a sunny day like this in this colour, up here in these gorgeous hills. It looks fabulous, doesn't it? Let us know in the comments below what you think of it. The interior is very recognisable as BMW. You've got a very similar design language in this car than you do in every other BMW in the range. You've got this chunky fat steering wheel sat directly in front of me with the paddles behind. You've got all your controls for your cruise control, your speed limiter on the left, and all the volume controls and radio and multimedia on the right hand side. But I just love this simplistic design across the centre. You've got BMW's operating system here. It's actually now the previous generation, but I think it still does a cracking job. You've got wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on there. You've got the digital display directly in front of me, which is sort of triangular elements, which looks brilliant. And then we've got buttons still in this car. These are disappearing very quickly, but physical buttons all in the centre for the air conditioning, the heated seats, and so on. Down in the middle here, you've got the traditional iDrive controller down there with the gear selector too. You can also have wireless charging in the centre. This particular car doesn't have it, but it still has the space for the phone, which is, I think, brilliant. You've got nice little cup holders here in the centre and just loads of room in here. It's a lovely place to sit. Great view out with this big bonnet in front of you, but you just know exactly where everything is. And yeah, with the roof down, the sun beaming down on these fantastic seats, these bucket seats, these leather amazing seats, it just makes you want to go and enjoy a car like this on a day like this. So let's stop blabbering on, let's go and do that. Does it really get much better than this? A warm summer's day and a two-seat Roadster to play with. Welcome to the driver's seat of the BMW Z4. Now, as I've already mentioned, it's been quite a while since I've driven one of these, and what better excuse to go and revisit, I think, one of the most underrated cars in the BMW lineup than a really nice, warm summer's day in the UK. Now, we've already looked around the exterior, a little bit of the interior. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. I think it's aging beautifully well. This car I still think looks absolutely fabulous in every condition, and then especially when you can get the roof down on a day like this. But what's it like to drive? So, as I've already mentioned, this is the base model. This is the 20i. You can now only get the 20i and the M40i. The 30i that used to sit in the middle has now gone, unfortunately, because that was a fabulous car. But what is this like, the 20i like? What's it like with that 2-litre 4-cylinder as opposed to the glorious 3-litre 6-cylinder? Well, we've got around 200 horsepower, 0 to 62 is dealt with in around 6.6 seconds, so if I put it into sport, it's not slow. Picks up its feet and goes. But don't get me wrong, it's not going to tear your face off. It's not insanely fast. It's not one of those that is just all about the power. No, this car is more about the chassis and the way that it drives. And for me, the way that it drives is actually quite different to that of a sports car, as you'd imagine. This obviously is still a sports car, and it's still, the steering is still super responsive when you want it to be, and you dial it all up to sport, get to some twisty roads. It's still a great thing to drive when you really want to start to press on. The way that it irons out bumps gives you so much confidence. You know exactly what the steering is doing through your fingertips. It still feels phenomenal. But strangely for me, I don't think this car is at its best when it does that. No. For me, I think when you drop it all back into comfort, put the gearbox just into its just normal setting, you can only get the automatic gearbox with this. However, there is now a new Z4 with a 40i that actually can have a manual gearbox with 3 pedals, and I'll be very surprised if I get hold of one of those, but if I can, absolutely would love to drive one. But yeah, when you dial it all back into comfort and just cruise, I think that is when this car is really at its best. Roof down so you can enjoy the elements. There's just something so special and cool about a convertible. If you've ever driven one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go and drive one, because there is just something about being exposed to the elements like this that just enhances the driving experience. And for me, I actually had a convertible a few years ago. Unfortunately, I had it during the winter, but even then, as soon as it was not raining, which wasn't a lot to be honest, you have the roof down. Even in the cold, you just put all the blowers on, full heat, your heated seats, heated steering wheels, of course this has, and it was wonderful. There's just something about a convertible, no matter the conditions, that's just really cool, and on a day like this, it just elevates the whole experience. It's a wonderful, joyous thing to experience. And I love a convertible. Oh, I do love a convertible. And the Z4 is a fantastic option. As I've said, it feels like more of a cruiser. It's one of those, it doesn't make you want to drive it super, super quick and aggressive. No, it just wants to cruise and take in the scenery and just enjoy a leisurely drive. But don't get me wrong, when you want it to, it can drive, and you can really enjoy this car. You can enjoy everything it has to offer. It's got so much to offer. Drop it into sport again, listen. It's got a great little rasp to the engine, and it's just, yeah, a great place to be. You've got all the equipment you're ever going to need. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, your automatic air conditioning, your cruise control. This car has Harman Kardon sound system. It's just got everything you're ever going to need, and so much more. It looks great in this colour, this Portimao blue. Everybody looks at it as you're driving along. It gets loads of attention. It is a brilliant roadster. It's a brilliant car to drive every single day, and even with the roof up, it still feels special. You've got that long bonnet out in front of you, the short, squat back end. It's a fabulous car to drive. It's a great thing, especially on a day like this. And yeah, I'm just going to carry on enjoying it. I forgot how good these cars are and how much I enjoy driving them. If you want any more information on the BMW Z4 or any BMW for that matter, please use the link in the description of this video to contact your nearest Sytner BMW retailer. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon.